think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming. Stop reproducing. Walk hand in hand into extinction. One last midnight, brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal.
Do not trust any friends or family members. I repeat, do not trust friends.
Is this the first time that you've ever read a Bloody Stumps Samurai?
Yeah, it was. Like I had scanned through it.
You bought it, and you were like, let's
I
see
bought
this
it.
Bloody Stumps Samurai. I bought it, read it right off the cuff, loved it, and preached, and then we backburned it for a while.
We did. I forget what happened, but it got the backburn. That's true, because I bought this probably at the beginning of the pandemic. Like I was like, I know what we'll do. So, because it was recently new at that time. It's strange to think it had been published in 2019 by Retrofit Press. And the reason it was on my radar is because Ryan Holmberg does like an essay at the back. This is he has an ongoing project of curating interesting and forgotten manga. And
yeah, I read Ryan's thing the first time I read this, and this time I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, no, that's fair. No, don't worry. I got you covered.
Good.
There's not really a whole lot to say about the essay in the back. It's just why it was on my radar. That's all. I have a small collection now of all the things that Ryan Holmberg has put out, and I like his vision, and he's just gives me like, 'cause you can find regular old manga quite easily at this point. I mean, bookstores are loaded with it. So how do I get it the underneath that? Anyway, so
I read the apologies at the back.
Yeah, right. We'll get to that, I'm sure. Okay,
Cowards.
Yeah, Hiroshi Hirata is our writer-artist here. He died 2021, so relatively recently passed. But this book came out 1962, and it's as well. I guess as you alluded to, it only stayed on the shelf for about a year. This guy got canceled. This book got canceled.
This guy got shut down. He got shut down faster than Boku VC.
Yeah. And so, yeah. Your question was though. Oh, go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say I can see why this was just. This is I really like this because it's so. Obviously, it's like another one of my things, right? I like it raw. You know?
Yeah, well, this thing's hilarious.
I like when you just like this is meant to offend, especially at that time. You could feel this guy was just like, I'm gonna fucking hit a nerve. Whatever age he was, Yeah,
I guess it is kind of like it is explosive. It is like it's an interesting choice. Like on the one hand, well, in one of the little write-ups at the Comics Journal, they saw it as like a sort of exploitation counterpart to Harakiri.
I was gonna bring up Harakiri too and say like it's Harakiri was had that same sort of class message that must have been popularized at that time, or it was like it was polarizing probably to talk about. Because like you had brought up that the samurai mythos sort of were that's something that they kind of like pushed forward themselves, Here, look at this. This is great, honorable, excellent. No bad history back here.
Yeah. and then in the 60s you'll get like the comics makers and the film makers and everybody wants to sort of interrogate that myth another shout out to really great friend of the podcast, Jason, who he and I are working on the Samurai Appreciation Society. One thing that we're discovering about, just reviewing older samurai material from this era, like it's interesting that this story about the underclass is ultimately figured in the form of a samurai. Like there's something about the concept of samurai at this time that even though they are the elite, they are the vehicle by which working class politics, discrimination, class distinctions, the desire to rise above one's station, like that. The samurai is the way that Japan, or not, is one way that Japan appears to talk about those issues. Like it can't face them directly, it seems, and so it mediates it through the concept of the samurai, and you definitely get that here in Old Bloody Stumps, but too like I see what the dude was going for, but like you said, James, like this is, I don't know if it's meant to touch a nerve, but it was destined to touch a nerve. Like, was this guy stupid?
Oh no, I don't think so. I mean, he's an artist. He was agitated, and he wanted to give it. You know, he wanted to lay it down, and Harakiri does that in a way that's, I want to say, classy, and this does it in a way that's grimy.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it's there's a couple of really nice touches too in his art style. One is that this guy, despite being of the lowest of the Ita, the lowest of caste, what's his name?
Oh, it's Genosuke.
Genosuke. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
Genosuke, right.
he's oddly more handsome than anyone else in the book, which I think is a funny thing to do.
Oh my goodness, you're right. He looks so corn-fed now that I'm looking at him.
Yeah, and then one of the other little hilarious touches this artist does is when he's using a nondescript character for something, he gives them sort of the Peanuts treatment.
I was thinking of the Tezuka treatment. I know what you're talking about, though. Like the
he just sort of dumbs down the art style so that they're like a honky kind of caricature,
Yeah. I should be careful when I say something like the guy looks corn-fed, because that actually that is a poorly chosen metaphor, because it probably ties into the fact. So they're meant to. So the ita is this slur word. It's like calling them in the N-word. So it's avoided. This was censored. Like any reference to that was part of the censorship. The class is the Barakumen. That's fine. I mean, for the purposes of this comic, we can use the term eta, whatever. I just kind of wanted to flag that, but it means
apologies if we're dropping the Japanese equivalent of the N bomb.
I don't know if it's honestly, I don't know if it's equivalent to that, but it's got to be in that register, I would imagine. Like there is no. That's one of the. I should speak this very carefully, because I could easily misspeak, but Japan doesn't. To my knowledge, there's very few black people in Japan. Like it doesn't have a let's say colored subclass or minority class or whatever. Maybe I could be completely fucking mistaken about that, but you don't get the impression that Japan, especially in this book, you don't get the impression that I'm sure they were racist, because they lived in a global society and they encountered all sorts of people. But this story isn't really about race, but it has it is about the caste system is this. I mean, all racism is made up, or races are made up. But this is it's not based on skin color, because he passes throughout this entire thing. Like you said, he's the most handsome character. But it's only it is a racism based upon history. Once everybody learns this dude's past, where he came from, then he's dirt.
Right, and that's got to be that takes time too. It has to be sort of passed around through whisperings that this guy in this school is from this, and because that would mean that the sort of those his people were sort of dispersed by that time.
Yeah, or driven, because I guess they still exist.
Or executed, apparently.
Yeah. Well, yeah, or executed, in they were subject to massacre and any number of any type of mistreatment. Yeah, but for all of that, okay, this is all very serious talk. Fine. I laughed my ass off through most of this book, because I'm what the fuck were you doing, Hirata? This is putting aside any social commentary element. The the scenario that he establishes is so bizarre.
It's not Genosuke or whatever is not easy to empathize with either. The scenario is insane. He's a crazy person. And he's possessed by his sword, but also like some of the storytelling so sensical, and some of it is so nonsensical.
Yeah.
Like it's so choppy, and then sometimes it's just like so the dialogue
No
so
pun
carefully
intended.
it's so carefully crafted that you're like, wow, that back and forth was very smooth, and then all of a sudden it's just madness. Like
Yeah, and you can't even quite tell what the action really is, or the action's just like cartoonishly weird. Like when he lifts up that one, the sensei that was going to betray him, like he found out the truth and he bought that sake form or whatever, Master Ichidensai, and then he murders him and like lifts him up in the air and like impales his head into the wall.
that was awesome.
Yeah. I don't know how he did that though. Like because he's missing an arm at that point, right? So like he's using his first little stumpy arm to raise him up and slash. This is on page 87. If you
Yeah.
I didn't need any help there.
No, I'm looking right at it.
Yeah, and you're just like, that's
he's doing, and there's
sense.
like a little motion with his arm with almost like little arrows showing me something I don't understand.
Yeah. And so there's great expertise like this. Hirata is most known for, actually, I don't remember the fucking title, but anyway, he has a samurai epic that highly influential. Like this book hadn't seen print in 40 years, so it was just something that kind of people knew about and some people valued, but like the Hirata's main work is elsewhere and his influence is elsewhere. And it's amazing stuff, and you can see that mastery at work, but you also see something like these comedic elements that you were talking about, like later on, once their arms and limbs are all, like he's in the hospital and he's talking, like his legs have been cut off and he's missing an arm, and he's right beside that other guy who Genzeman, I guess is the dude's name, and they're in the hospital wing and they're both like talking to each other the whole time, and then like the doctor's
he's like, I'm gonna kill you.
Such noisy patients day in, day out. You're just like, what a weird choice. So there's high action, there's social commentary, there's cartooning, and also like a sort of tragedy. Like it ends on a really sad note, and you're like, why am I sad? What the fuck just happened?
It's hard to be sad because it's so fucking bizarre.
Yeah.
Because the funny thing too is like as the grotesquerie ensues and the bloody Stumps samurai becomes the bloody Stumps samurai, the story starts to change into like a fantasy tale of madness and then he begins encountering supervillains.
Yes, but okay, so one thing that this hasn't really been talked about with this book, and even in the opening essay, is like this is a disability studies alert. Like this this is the whole, like, basically the supervillains that he encounters are individuals who are like similarly or differently disabled. Like one guy's lost his sight because of Gensuke. Another guy's lost his arm, or both arms. Well, no, I forget.
Both
that's
arms,
not something.
I'm pretty sure.
Both arms. Yeah, okay. That's not something I should forget. And they just come up with these like ridiculous techniques. I don't know what to call them. Apparatuses, weapons.
Yeah, that was the blow dart guy.
Yeah. Like what the. These darts cost me a lot. And just like, and it's everybody struggling. Like on the one hand, it's sort of a heroic depiction of disability. On the other hand, it's like it is the worst possible on all fronts depiction of disability.
Well, even the guy that actually bests Genosuke, is like basically like the Elephant Man.
Yeah.
He's like a big, ugly mutant guy who like commiserates with him and then sort of like basically takes the cheapest victory of all time.
Yeah, and it's like his weapon is, it's because he's lost his arm, so like he crafts this helmet that he wears on his head with a sword attached to its forehead. And and he's, but my training is complete. I've been, and you're like, what the so then and then Bloody Stumps. So after
That's not the same guy though, is it?
It's not the blow dart guy, is it? Oh,
no, the bearded
guy
is different from the Elephant Man guy that cut his legs off, though, right?
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. You're right.
He just has so many people in his background that want him to kill him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The guy's like, I too was ugly. And he tricks him. It's like,
yeah.
His legs
he
off.
tricks him and then chops his legs off, but then gets his own arm chopped off. And then
forgive me.
Has some weird like pity and like bandages up Genosuke and then gets them both in the hospital together.
Right.
But since he dips his arm in donkey shit, he catches an infection. And
everybody in this should have bled to death.
He goes sideways too.
Getting back to the art, sometimes just becoming wild and unhinged. Like during that exchange, when the guy's like, "Forgive me," at page 103 and 102 and 103. Like, what is happening? Everything's all like going through a time warp. Like reality's literally distorting throughout all of this. Like the panels are creeping in, and it's like everybody's suddenly in this nightmare cave, and with just like filled with madness and pain. Like it's so intense.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I guess that's what you'd feel like if you got your legs chopped off.
Gah.
You'd it would be shitty. Be the worst.
We do have to say that and this is a common complaint, but the lettering on this is like so badly, for the most part, very badly done.
It's just typed.
Yeah, it's just like computer typeface. Like what the? That was dumb. And this is a Ryan Holmberg thing. You'll see this, and I don't know why. I guess he feels it's somehow more authentic or something, but
it makes it easy to read, but it really takes up too much space.
Well, yeah, actually, sometimes that's. Yeah, I guess you're right. Like, well, I guess the speech balloons are where they're supposed to be in the size that they originally were.
Yeah, there are sections. There are sections where it could be the text is like actually cutting into the art, and you can see it.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go.
Like the speech bubbles he pulls off all the speech bubbles, but when there aren't speech bubbles, he's actually like encroaching on panels and stuff.
Yeah. Anyway,
whatever. That's a minor complaint considering what I witnessed here.
Yeah. It's just like it did put me off of it at first. Like when it first showed up and I saw it for the first time, I was like, oh wow, okay, this is pretty cool. But I just couldn't read any of the text. But then once I fell into it, you fall into it. You're like, okay.
I'll tell you when this whole story changed for me.
Please.
Was he looked for a rock shaped like a snake's abdomen, and he scraped his front side back and forth on it all day after day. Finally, his chest hardened to the desired scaly form. Much blood was lost, chunks of flesh in the process, and that's when he starts fucking scooting around at high speeds with his fucking snake body. That's when I was like, oh fuck, okay, well, clearly we transcended into a different book now.
Yeah. And that's another area in which this thing fails from a, we'll be kind and call it a cultural sensitivity perspective. So the complaint, actually, Holmberg put it hilariously in the, let's see if I can find it. However, while there are many men driven mad by vengeance and many scenes of grotesque bodily mutilation in Hirata's manga, Bloody Stumps Samurai is the only one to my knowledge in which the protagonist turns into a murderous freak. And And I was like, yeah, that's pretty accurate, and considering like he's trying to depict, well, so like these people, sorry, Burokam, the Burakumin, yeah, there we go. They, they're supposedly bestial, like sort of like monstrous or whatever, and so like probably turning their representative into a monster, a scaly like snake creature, probably not the best move.
Sort of backslid on his momentum,
Yeah, yeah. Although maybe he's thinking does he think that's the point? He's like, if you'll treat me like a monster, then I'll become a monster, and this monster is going to take vengeance on you. But that's like, I think I saw that in the like fucking what's the Hunchback of Notre Dame? Like that's his origin story, isn't it? Phantom of the Opera,
It's true. What the
Anyway.
fuck? Yeah, I'm just watching the mouth guy now with his pins.
Yeah, so it starts off like he does start off with all of his arms, as I'm sure everybody has inferred. But the dude's crazy because he wants to become like the greatest samurai lord, so that way he can petition for his people to be risen out of poverty. So he wants to save everyone. He's a hero. But he's so driven and so insane, like he doesn't want to quit, and so nobody wants to fight with him, and he's careless even though he's exceptional. And he keeps making mistakes, and his past keeps following him around, and he can't get anywhere. So like he's trying and trying and trying, like there's no meritocracy for this dude. And then he knocks out the one person who wants to help him. He knocks out that dude's eye, his good eye. Remaining good eye, and then it's all downhill from there. And he loses an arm fighting that guy, the dude with the eyeball guy. Am I right about that? It's like, why don't you stop? I told you this would not be allowed.
Yeah, because I think that's when the guy breaks his arm.
Yeah.
And then I'm not really clear what sort of happens to his arm after that. Whether it's like gimpy and it never comes back. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Jinsuke's arm is broken. Yeah, like, does it get cut off? Did he have to amputate his arm?
Yeah, I guess so. Or did someone else cut it off in another fight that I missed in the madness?
No, I don't think so. I'm flipping through it now. Yeah, all of a sudden after that, he just doesn't have his other arm, to my knowledge. You never see it again. Seems to have trouble. So, I mean, maybe it does just hang there dead. But it's clearly cut off later. Yeah, who knows? That's a strange problem, like strange little bit of missing. So
yeah, I don't know if it's a problem because the book's insane anyway. So
yeah. I didn't think that I would like it when I started it. I think that would slow us down as well because I there was lots of stuff going on and it just seemed like a bit of a chore. And I was really wrong because I read this.
You were wrong, yeah.
Yeah. There's no chore involved here.
No. The final battle is just my absolute fucking favorite too. The helmet guy.
Yeah, right?
It's just amazing. Like watching him fucking scoot around and shit.
and he always seems to like jump from the sky, like.
I like how he like comes from the skies like down into the fucking down in between your like collarbones and impales you straight through the heart when he flies off the roof. Like, how did he get on the roof? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah, that's exactly it.
And then the fact that he like dies by that weird helmet blade, but like straight through his mouth and out his asshole. Like that's like the final panel of the entire book.
Just spit roasted, like dangling straight, like in like, and I guess it's like a trapeze act.
Imagine finding that.
Oh shit! Yeah, and then it ends with everybody laughing.
No one survived. Thank God. Yeah, he killed all of them.
Yeah.
Actually, that's one of those things too that Harakiri was missing. Is like this guy got his revenge.
Yeah.
And then some.
Yeah, I'll say. He didn't like get what he. I guess nobody gets what you want when you're trying to be like in any of these stories. You just kind
No.
of.
The moral is
maybe-
you never come up from the bottom. But
Well, in this one it is. I guess that's it. In Harakiri, he was killed at the end. But our man, like, he won. Like, he dishonored the ruling class, and even though they're gonna hush it up, they're dishonored. They're beat. They're done. Nobody learned a fucking lesson here. Like this guy is like his death. There is no aside from the people who died. Like his revenge is purely sort of body count, but there will be no change that results from this.
no, they did a hip hip hooray at the end.
Well, exactly,
With
right?
their peanut faces.
Yeah.
Fucking bunch of Charlie Browns.
Mm.
And then I didn't get the thing at the end. Upon hearing the news of Genosuke's demise, all the former disciples of the Ichiden school naturally erupted into joy. All of them, that is, except for Taria Buzulamon, the author of the Daruma Chronicles.
Yeah.
So was that the guy midway through the book who said he was also an Ita? And was sort of trying to help him, but told him that he had gone too far and was like a mad dog?
I think that was the master. I thought that was the blind master. He was like, "Oh, it's unfortunate, Am I fucking wrong about that?
I don't know.
Do you remember
It
me?
was
Yeah,
really
the
choppy.
the blow dart dude. He was like, if I'd known you were Ita, I would have asked you to join me to liberate our people. And so it's even worse than that. It's like he's failed. He lost his only ally from the very beginning. Like the one person who was going to help him and was willing to help him, he causes to he fully blinds, and like the dude has to leave.
He just fails on top of failing.
Yeah,
and he's also like he's just like a mad butcher.
Yeah, at this point.
But that was established right from the get go that that's what he was, like that he was just possessed.
Yeah, and yeah, he's got that sort of that berserker rage kind of thing. But when he snaps out of it, he's more pathetic than anything. He's crying all the time. Dude cries at the drop of a hat.
Yeah. And until the end, that's when he's finally got his resolve. When he's like the Snake Man.
Yeah. And he's not gonna. Well, no one's. He only cries when people finally agree to help him. But he doesn't learn a lesson from that blow dart dude.
No, you figure he would have learned the hardest lesson from his sensei that he blinded.
Yeah.
But he didn't even really take anything away from that. He just cried.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. He did cry there. Oh, shit. Yeah, I take it back. Yeah, sorry. I forgot he cried there. And then it's like, but he just refuses to lose. And so in his tears, he's like, dude's like, I got to kill you. The more you kill, the more you inflame prejudice against our people. Is that what you want? And he's like, shut up. If you try to kill me, don't think I'll go down without a fight. Like this, there's no, within the samurai tradition, the downcast, let's go back to Harakiri. Like, even though the main character was downcast, he retained, let's call it, true honor. And Gensuke, he doesn't have true honor. And I think that's
he doesn't have any honor.
Yeah, that's the most damning element of it, and that's why this book kind of fails in terms of we'll call it positive representation. So let's say you did have a bloody stump samurai, maybe you just put a little true honor on that, a little code of true honor, and maybe this book didn't get canceled, but it was like full court press, error upon error.
Which is like, I don't know. That's what makes me just love it so much, though. It's just so offensive and it's so angry. I'm assuming the guy was younger when he did this.
I believe so. Like, is it 60? It's 1962. He was born in 47. So do the math on that. He's still a young man at that point, early in his career, to say the least. And so yeah, I mean, yeah, it's an exceptional work. It's great. I don't think we should cancel it. We don't live in
keep
Japan.
it going.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Like this is
the best type of samurai story too. This is the I don't know why, but it's so funny to think that, like, if you think back about of favorite samurai movies or favorite books with a samurai in it, the it seems to be like the downtrodden or like lower class, like wandering Ronin sort of like it's not often that the actual like high up samurai class is displayed as positive or honorable, really, in anything or in any movies that we've watched or books that we've covered.
Yeah, there are some. I will say that there are some definite exceptions. I mean,
I'm sure there are. I mean, like the fun ones that we've covered so far, though, haven't had that. They've all been sort of this like root for the underdog type story.
Yeah, yeah. And even in like Lone Wolf and Cub, he's on the run. Like he's one of those guys that got cast low just because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And yeah. Anyway,
even the Seven Samurai, those guys helped for food. Some of them.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's definitely like it's basic. It is a major tradition within samurai stories and movies and comics and that kind of thing. And Seven Samurai is very important in that tradition. Like it kind of solidified it and kind of turned it into eventually a cliche that it would become, because everybody just wanted to do what Kurosawa had done. But technically, I think that movie's also 62, 63, so it's contemporaneous with this. There's just a shift, there's a shift in, because one thing that Jason and I haven't been able to do yet, just because of time, and also like going to samurai movies before 1960, because there's a tradition of them, like you can get them as early as 1940, 1930, and I bet those are a little different. And we've been staying in the hippie phase. These are hippie comics, kind of like Jim Starlin type shit.
Yeah.
Doug Menge, Jim Starlin, Steve Englehart, like that's what this is the equivalent. But anyway, so it's a huge thing, and I would just imagine that prior to this, you get a lot of samurai stuff where they're just the badass, goodest guys you'll ever get.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but we'll see. I mean,
since you're saying that Hirata here is a bit of a stoner.
I think so. He wears a beret. It's funny seeing like in the picture on I bookmarked it in the back matter. Page 159, there's a picture of him in 1959, and he's doing a Tezuka impression. The Astro Boy guy, he always wore that little beret. I don't know if that was like, I got to say that I don't know what the style was at the time, but I just think it's significant that he sort of looks like Tezuka, and there's a good amount of Tezuka influence in this cartoony, like the Charlie Brown stuff that you're talking about. That just seems
right.
All, yeah. Which in turn, like Tezuka, and I only know this from reading from Ryan Holmberg, Tezuka grew up reading like Blondie and Charlie Brown, and like he got American comics and picked up a lot of that style, and so it sort of creeped into Japanese comics through that way. Like many things, is a very international sort of phenomenon. Kind of a little far field. So this was a good one.
Yeah. This is it's great. I would say if you can get your hands on a copy. I just looked, they're not that easy to find. We must have got them you must have suggested it to us at the good print time.
You know what happened? That's exactly. So I bought it off our local, our Canadian book retailer, Indigo, and I looked on their website one day because I was looking through the stuff to see if they had any other retrofit press stuff, and they did. And they also had exactly three issues left of Bloody Stump Samurai. And I was like, shit, I know for a fact that when this shit goes out of print, they're not making any more of these. Like, Retrofit Press is not DC Comics. Like, once it's printed, it's out.
Actually, for the record, it looks like you can still, if anybody's listening to this and they're like, wow, I got to have that fucked up shit.
Yeah.
It's you can still get it from Indigo for $26 on paperback.
It says delivery within 3 to 5 weeks, and I don't know, like, they had that cyber attack and their system got all fucked up, so like I'm a little skeptical as to when the reason I'm skeptical is because
you're thinking they don't have inventory on it.
Yeah, because Retrofit Press, their main website says they're sold out. And
if you go on I was checking it out on Amazon, it looks like you can only buy it used for about $50-$60 now.
Yeah. So it's so I got it. I got while the getting was good. I was like, 3 issues. There's 3 of us. Perfect. Because I gave one to Chris too.
Yeah. And this is the finest thing.
Yeah, a fine gift. But if anyone interested in this, though, go over to Retrofit. I keep calling them Retrofit Press, but they might be Retrofit Books. And check out their other stuff. Just, if you're curious, they do a small trade in some of these, like, manga reprints with Ryan Holmes, but they also have a lot of other sort of interesting little bits. But the Ryan Holmes manga, each and every bit of it is interesting if you can get your hands on it, and it's not going to be there forever. So get it now. It's you're shaking hands with the future you.
Wow.
Now, all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.